You've got guests coming, but it seems like they're not sticking around very long. Let's talk about some reasons for that right now on the Church Revitalization Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Church Revitalization Podcast, brought to you by the Malphurs Group team, where each week we tackle important, actionable topics to help churches thrive. And now, here's your hosts, Scott Ball and A.J. Mathieu.
Welcome to the Church Revitalization Podcast. My name is Scott Ball. I'm joined by my friend and co-host,
Hey,
Alfred Joseph Mathieu.
glad to be here, everybody.
Yes. Welcome to the program. Today we're talking about why people don't want to come back to your church. I'm just kidding. That's maybe a little harsh. That's not really it. It's that you got people who are new who come and then they maybe don't stick around.
Yeah.
Even though they maybe like your church, they just, I don't know, they're leaving out the back door, as they say.
Yeah. And there's a million reasons that could be happening, but we're going to hone in on at least one area that would be within your control.
Yeah.
There could be everything's within your control. Some things, though, are more difficult. I mean, yeah, if your building is a disaster, you can't fix that in a couple weeks. But
No. But the three reasons are all things that you have some degree of control over and can fix without some massive budget.
Yeah. Yep. Scott, let's dive in. You ready to go?
I mean, I am ready to go. Do we want to talk about TapConnect, or do we want to talk about the Healthy Churches Toolkit now? You want to do it later?
Absolutely not.
All right. Well, there you go.
TapConnect is a great tool for making sure guests get connected in your church, Scott.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the perfect episode for TapConnect.
It definitely is. Of course, we need to talk about TapConnect. Let's talk about that.
Okay, you go. You're faster than me. I'll talk for 10 minutes about TapConnect.
TapConnect, you've probably seen these. You got the sticker with the QR code, and you're like, whatever. We're not into that. But you should check out TapConnect. It's going to really help guests connect with you. But this is the kind of thing. Here's what's going to be different about it. You're not going to say, hey, if you're a guest, just tap or scan that QR code. This is something you're going to want to integrate into kind of the life of the church. I mean, you want everybody in there because there's going to be more information available for everybody, pertinent information for that Sunday. But from the guest side, they're going to get something that would be meaningful for them as well to be able to make a connection with your church. But I think, Scott, talk about the thing that really differentiates TapConnect in being able to also track attendance.
I think this is so helpful. I mean, I think this is a huge gap in so many churches. It's just impossible on a Sunday morning to know who's there. So obviously we want to know first and foremost what guests are there. So TapConnect makes that very simple, and solves that issue. But also who goes to our church every week, who's there every week, who's not there, and if we can kind of create this tap habit. Then that kind of destigmatizes, kind of doesn't make a newcomer look like a weirdo when they're the one tapping. If everybody's doing it, it's incentivizing for the new people to do it. It's also great data now that you have about who's there every week, and that's syncing up with your church management software, whether that be Rock or Planning Center or what was some of the other ones? CCB. And if you're like, I don't have any of those, there's a dashboard right in TapConnect where you're still going to get that data, and that's going to be helpful for you. So please go check out tapconnect.church. Tapconnect.church is the URL, and use code TMG10. That's TMG10 at checkout, and you'll save 10% off of any plan. And check that out. Also, check out the Healthy Churches Toolkit. There's a lot of things in there to help you create a good guest experience and to just be a better leader in a healthier church. Go to healthychurchestoolkit.com. That's our platform. It's like a leadership operating system. It's not church management software. That's different. This is like a church. This is like a leadership operating system. You're able to build your strategic plan, manage your leadership pipeline, and have some dynamic tools that help you to just lead better and more consistently, take some shortcuts and make some things easier for you. You can get that free for 7 days when you go to healthychurchestoolkit.com.
Yeah. Let me give you some secondhand testimonials on that. We were just doing we did a large group training this week here in the US. Let me tell you some of the reactions to the features of the toolkit. Scott, you'll remember this. Here's one.
Yeah.
Wow. I heard wow.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. I heard some audible gasps.
I heard like that's cool. I heard that's cool. All right. So there you go. I don't have a name to give you that, but you can put that in quotes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
That's cool.
Whoa.
Those are two separate people, by the way.
Gasp.
Yeah. That's the reaction to the features in the Healthy Churches Toolkit that you could get 7 days free and at healthychurchestoolkit.com. So.
I guess I would just like to very briefly add on to that. Sign up for a Plus account free for 7 days. I think if you sign up for a basic account, you might not. I mean, the stuff that's in there, I would love for you to have a basic account, but that's going to just be content. Okay. So I don't want to undersell it and be like, well, the stuff that's in the basics bad, but it's just content. You know, if you're like, I love these Malphurs guys and I want the courses, you know, give me the courses, give me the resource library. I mean, the content there is very solid. But if you want all of the tools that we've been talking about, those are Plus features.
Go Plus.
Go Plus.
Okay. All right. That is awesome. So let's talk about our process from a process standpoint of making sure that people that come to our church stick around. I mean, at least give you a second chance, give you the third chance, so that we can try to form, you know, a budding relationship with somebody. That's really the point. You know, I mean, we have guests come in, and that's awesome, and we hope that they have a good experience and that they hear a great message. We want to introduce them to Christ. But yeah, we're looking for a long-term relationship with people. We want them to connect into the body of Christ, so that they can begin to experience all the fullness that has to offer. But when they're here once and then we don't see them again, or they come a couple of times and then they drop off, we need to dig into that. We got to figure out what's going on with this, and we have to have our best system in place to try to form that relationship. The bigger your church gets, especially, the more difficult this becomes. Because it's just easy for people to mingle in and get lost. And so we've got to be intentional about some things. So the first thing that we want to talk about, the first reason of the three that perhaps you are pretty sure there are guests, but they're not becoming a part of what we're doing, is that you really don't have a clear next step. You're not making it super easy and understandable. Like, all right, I'm here. And I know I was coming for something today, but they will be wondering, what should I do at this point? This could even be, you know, their fifth visit. You know, I mean, if they like, hey, this is awesome. The preaching was really good. I liked the music. People seemed friendly. Even then, I think you could still lose somebody. This might not even be on your radar. Sometimes we do think they come, you know, what do we do one time? They're here once, maybe twice. What if they came 5 times? And they're still like, I feel like, you know, okay, what else does this church do besides this? You've got to have a clear next step that everybody every week would know. Oh, okay, this is what this church is really doing to engage and to make this more than just a Sunday experience.
Yeah. This is such a huge problem, and it kind of runs counter to our intuition and our logic. You know, our intuition is when somebody is new and they've been coming maybe on a Sunday morning for a little while, we want to show off all of the wonderful things that our church has and that our church does. We've got, you know, a wonderful kids program and a youth ministry, and we have senior saints, and we have this event coming up, and then we have these groups, and wherever you're at in life, there's a place for you to connect. And I think that what we're wanting to say is exactly that. Wherever you are in life, there is a place for you to connect. But that's overwhelming very often for someone who is new.
Yeah, and unclear.
It's unclear. Like, maybe they don't know where they're at in life. I mean, even little things like, hey, yeah, we have a young adults group. We've talked about this before, but we have a young adults group. You know, at what point do you stop being a young adult? You know, you might look around the room, and as most people have, you know, gray hair. So as young adults like end at 25 or 40 or 50, 5 because everybody else is like 70 plus. What does young adult mean? Just things like that where you're like, I don't even know. And then you get up there on Sunday morning and you do your announcements and you've got 10 things that are coming up and you're like, am I supposed to go to that? Do I have to go to that? So there's not a clear next step for a guest. If I am new here, what is the next thing that I should do? And so I know you're going to like, I've heard you guys say this on the podcast before. I know, but a lot of you aren't doing it. You really need to narrow down the announcements. Like really, really hone in on this is what I want a guest to do next. And that doesn't mean you can't talk about other things, but you need to like pare it down majorly. AJ, you and I recently went to somewhere famous, legendary even.
You could say legendary.
Historic.
We
found ourselves at the legendary Coney Island of Fort Wayne,
Indiana.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Coney Island.
Coney Island of Fort Wayne. It's a restaurant. And one of the things that I really appreciated actually about this place is that when you and I sat down at this restaurant that's been open since 1914, we said, we're new. We've never been here. What is the process? And the guy stood right there and he said, listen, we got hot dogs and we have hamburgers. And if you want, you can add a bag of chips and a drink. And if you're really feeling adventurous, there's some pie. But that's the choice. It's hot dogs, hamburger, bag of chips, drink. That's the menu. And it did not take us long to figure out what we were going to order.
Made for a quick choice. I do want to say he was super friendly.
He was super friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he walked us through it. He even explained, like, here's how we cook our burgers. You can throw a slice of cheese on that if you'd like. Here's what comes on. I mean, like, it didn't take him long to explain because there wasn't much to explain.
That's right.
But if, the poor people who work at the Cheesecake Factory, God bless them, they cannot possibly explain everything that is on that menu. They'd be there all day.
They're like, well, in chapter 1 is...
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, have you ever been to a restaurant where you go, what's good? And they go, well, I really like, or you say, have you ever tried the such and such? And they go, I've never had that.
No, I've only worked here 10 years.
Yeah. I've worked here for 3 years and I've never even had that thing. They're like, some people say it's good. I mean, have you ever had that experience in a restaurant where they're like, I don't know, some people order it and they seem to like it? That is a totally different experience than talking to whatever his name was at Coney Island. He was like, let me tell you, we have this. Here's how we prep it. It's what we're known for. That clarity is such a gift to someone who is new. And I know we're not talking hot dogs and hamburgers here, but I am telling you that gift of clarity it's like a warm blanket. And even though I despise hot dogs with the fury of 1,000 suns, I actually liked the restaurant a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like hot dogs, but I liked that restaurant.
Well, and you didn't order a hot dog. So
I didn't order a hot dog. No, I got a hamburger. But the hamburger tasted like a hot dog, if I'm being honest with you.
It wasn't, I mean, that really was a good kind of analog, though, for a church. I mean, we identified ourselves as first-time guests.
Hey, we're new. Yeah, we've never been here.
Because you know what? Yeah, it's we sat at the counter and everything, and it's everything about it is just classic. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell him that we're new just to make this easier. Let's just shortcut this. But he responded to that super pleasantly and welcoming. And then
he was able to. That's kind of the analog I'm trying to make is that you're setting all of your volunteers up for failure. The person working at the Connect desk, when you have so many things and there's no clarity around what's a guest's next step, those conversations can't be as good as the one that we had with that guy.
Yeah.
It only worked because it was so simple. It was like, hey, it's this, and this.
That's right. Yeah. Here's what you do. Here's what you do.
Okay.
Forget Welcome Center. Forget guests, newcomers. Come here. Coney Island.
Coney Island.
Put Coney Island up in the lobby. If nothing else, everybody's walking over there. Like, what does this mean?
This is Coney Island. we had a good laugh about that. So shout out to Coney Island of Fort Wayne, Indiana. If anybody's ever been there, I hate hot dogs, but I love that restaurant.
I had the hot dog. It was totally fine. It was good. I would go back and eat a hot dog again. I want to make sure
the pie was great. By the way, we also had pie.
Pie was good too.
The pie was really good.
And pop.
Okay.
They'll tell you what kinds of pop they've got.
Yeah,
Don't know what pop is?
Yeah.
That.
Their fountain soda is Pepsi, but everybody around us was buying a Coke in a bottle. So go figure.
Yeah, they got fountain pop, they got canned pop, they got bottled pop.
They got it all.
All right. Yeah. You know what you got to do? Your guest follow up. You call it whatever you want. Follow up process, assimilation process, connection process. You need to be focusing on one thing. All right. Let's get away from the menu. Let's focus on one thing. And it's got to be super low commitment. It's not scary. It's really easy. And it has to be, so it's got to be easy to find. It's going to be easy to understand. It's got to be one thing. It's got to be something friendly and have some level of attractiveness to it so that people will go, all right, I think this is an easy ask that you're making of me, my good man. Yeah, I will partake in that.
Yeah, and that's actually a really great segue to our second reason why guests are leaving. So the first one is you don't even have a clear next step. It's like just overwhelming. People just get lost. They just get stuck in your worship service or they leave because it's not clear what their next step is. And every person who's part of your church, every attender should be able to explain what your next step is. But especially, your hospitality or assimilation team should be able to explain that quickly. So the second reason, though, is that maybe you do have a next step, but that next step that you have is an enormous commitment. You are asking guests to marry you on the first date. So the jump from being a newcomer, even a first-time guest, but even if it's not first-time guest, like you've been going there for 3, 4, 5 weeks, maybe longer, and then it's, hey, join a small group or take a membership class. That's an enormous, deeper level of commitment. Hey, welcome to First Community Church. Would you like to go to a stranger's house? No, I would not actually like to go to a stranger's house. I'll pass. Hey, welcome to First Community Church. Next week we have our new members class. Would you like to attend? No, thank you. I do not know if I like being here or not yet. So churches lose guests at this stage, not because they're disinterested, not because they're not sure if they like you or not, but it's just that the on-ramp feels like a cliff. I'm jumping in head first. And so we can lose guests this way.
Yeah, man. Yeah, honestly, you know what? A membership class, you probably could get away with that once or twice a year. But
depending on the size of the church.
But a newcomer class should be happening all the time. Or lunch, a guest lunch. And even the term, this always kind of drives me crazy. New member class. Is this a class for, you've become a member? You're a new member and now I need to go to a class? Or
this is nitpicky.
It's a podcast. So let's throw stuff out.
What are you suggesting? They should call it just membership class? Or?
Yeah, membership class. If it's about becoming a membership class.
Yeah.
A new members class sounds like a class for new members.
You already became a member and now it's like orientation.
And now I need another class. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's implied. It's a class to become a new member.
Is it? Is it implied? Is it?
You're the first person I've ever heard suggest that this is confusing.
Maybe that's why I've never become a member of my church. I don't understand.
A lot of churches don't even have membership anymore.
That's true.
Yeah. So maybe that's not, but even if the next step is small group, join a group, I think a lot of people would go, well, that's an easy next step. It's a clear next step, but it's not an easy one. It's actually really hard to get people connected.
That would be split. You would divide up some folks for sure, whether they would feel like they're ready for that.
It's huge on temperament or even culture. I don't want to say universally that would be hard to do. I was with the church actually a few weeks ago. They were like, no, this is a great entry point even because of the culture that they're in. that's actually not threatening at all to invite someone to a stranger's house. But, I guess your mileage will vary.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So I think, for the most part, membership is probably not necessarily the finish line that you're looking for on moving from a guest or a first few time visitor to a level that is more engaged. Maybe I don't even know if I would say committed to the church, but engaged. Really, the finish line on a guest process should be engagement, not the whole enchilada of membership, and like we're fully participating in your entire discipleship pathway. But yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it takes much to start developing relationship. But most churches are skipping that kind of easy way, and they're struggling then to go really to make it harder.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with a few churches that I'll probably make a couple enemies. That's okay. I have nothing against the 9 marks people at all. Like it's fine. Their view on church membership is aggressive, but fine. Like it's fine. But for a lot of these churches, I mean, church membership, they take it very seriously, which I actually really don't mind that they take it very seriously. But there's no buffer from being new to a very hardcore view on church membership. And that makes it very hard to get people to join, and very strenuous and difficult for all of the hoops they have to jump through in order to accomplish that, like multiple elder interviews potentially, and maybe like a blood sacrifice that happens. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. It's a joke. Please don't come after me. All of the 9 Marxists will come after us in the comments. I really don't care. I really don't mind to have like an aggressively committed view on church membership. Maybe that's even a good thing and even the right way to do it. But then all the more reason that you have to have some bridge to there, because it's such a huge commitment and it's such a big burden and commitment that you're asking from those people. Then you can't expect people to go from worship service to this high degree of examination that happens in those situations with church membership. So just make sure that there's some sort of bridge from where you are to where you want to go that people can actually take and want to take.
Yeah. Yeah. Making it simple. This is similar, but not, it's connected. I was on a church website the other day and I was looking at their, they have small groups. They're like, go to this page and click and find a group.
Yeah.
But then they've got like, you can filter. And I forget what the heading of this was, if they used the phrase life stage or something, but it was kind of like it was an age filter. And you would expect, like a few of those. So you could have a couple of options in there, but you open it up and you have to scroll. Because Scott, what do you think? 20s, 30s, 40s seems reasonable. There's a couple of maybe okay choices you might take. And they had those. But then they also had like 23 to 35, 35 to 41, 50 plus, 55 to 65. All of these
I don't know if you want to crack open this can of worms, because you and I think have different views on this.
That's totally fine. I know you're not into life stage at all.
I hate
like
it
that,
so much.
And I am.
I hate it.
My point is,
point.
They had all of and some of them didn't have, there was no results. There was like, it's not like they even had a class.
They were okay. Oh, so these were filters that you could apply, but there was not a result there.
They've over filtered it, probably because they let every group leader is allowed to go, hey, our group is kind of like this or that. But some of them don't even exist, but they don't cross over either. Like if you selected 30s, here's a group, but if you selected 23 to 38, there's not a group.
Oh,
and so it was. Just all
I love
of these
how
options.
you're making my point for me.
I'm not making your point. Mine is a tech point. Mine is a menu confusion point, not whether a church should have life stage groups, which I do think. So
this is a fundamental. AJ and I have off air. He and I have argued about this for literally hours about how I think this is a terrible idea, and it's. What you're explaining as a filters problem and a technology problem is a real life problem too. It's like, okay, there's not a filter in real life for me. The more categories you create, the more categories you have to create for someone to feel like they fit in and belong in a group. Whereas when you flatten it out and say, we don't do that here, we just do groups, then you're better off. The only division that makes any kind of sense to me is potentially geographic. Because then you can say, our church is for people in this zip code or in this area. And if there isn't a group that's within a reasonable distance from where you live, then probably we should help you find a church that's closer to where you live, and get you connected to a really solid church where you're going to be able to do real life community with somebody who's not 40 minutes from where you are.
Oh, I love the geography piece. Yeah, for sure.
So that does not bother me. Geography doesn't bother me, but the age stage thing, because it's like, especially for a small church, a church of 100 people, 150 people, they can't do that. They can't. So you just okay,
I'm not getting pulled into your conversation your argument.
Then that means I won.
You totally didn't win, and I'm not convinced even closer at an inch. But if we get 20 comments on this video on YouTube that says we want an episode about AJ and Scott debating life stage groups, then we'll produce that one for you. All right, let's move on to reason number 3. Your follow-up systems break down under pressure. So you think you've got a follow-up system, you've got something that you do, but it is not. We're saying breakdowns under pressure. Breaks down under pressure.
Breaks down under. So imagine you're listening to this so far. You're going, I have a clear next step. It isn't an intimidating one. I'm not asking people to
become a member next Sunday.
Become a member. Yeah. I was about to say something snarky, but I quit. So I'm not doing that. Like it's clear, it's simple, but people don't do it. So then what's the next common reason? We're saying probably the follow-up system itself is breaking down. So what we're saying here is that when the guest volume is low, when there's just like a couple of people in the process, it may work fine. But anytime that the system kind of collapses when it's Easter, right after Easter or right after Christmas, because there's not really a system, there's usually just a person. Like we don't have a system. We have Sally, and Sally is responsible for all of this stuff. And if for some reason it gets to be too much, or we're missing Connect cards, we know we collected them, but there's a stack of them somewhere, I don't know, or some of them are on TapConnect and some of them are on cards, and we don't really have a system for getting them all in here, or we're not counting the children's check-in, that the children's ministry registrations as Connect cards, which they absolutely are. So we have all these people who are new, and they gave us their information when they checked their kid in for the first time, but we didn't treat that like a Connect card. All of these pieces, and it can be confusing, and it's all spread out and it's all over the place because we don't really have a system. We have a person. And anytime there's the least amount of pressure on that, and it isn't just like one new Connect card came in this week, the whole thing kind of collapses.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's it. We don't need to overly complicate it. We've got to have, we need more touch points. We didn't really get into that in point 2, but we need more touch points. I suggest over a longer period of time. And it has to be super known and understood by more than one person about how that works. And be ready for those higher volume times. Christmas, Easter, back to school, are 3 highlight areas. And it's got to be ready for when we got 10 instead of 1, when we got 50 instead of 15. So, we need something that is repeatable, understandable, clear, simple, and maybe has an accountability layer to it so that more than one person has eyes on it. And we don't have a name that was added to a list somewhere that goes cold and nobody really ever knew why.
Yeah, I mean, so many of your church management software programs now have good workflow systems built in. Planning Center does, and a lot of the others do as well. And you really need to be using these things leverage Pastor's Line or Text in Church or Glue or any of these other ones you're using for certain automation pieces, use the automation, but it's not a total replacement for the human work that needs to happen. So, and we highly encourage there to be human components of this. The phone call is helpful. The postcard, the handwritten postcard is helpful. But you can automate some of these things like emails and text messages so that at least some connection point is happening. And to your point, AJ, spread that out over a longer period. But then also you got to build in some systems for knowing, like, if the next step that we ask people to do is to attend the newcomer lunch, then be sure that they don't keep getting, like, if they've gone or if they've registered for it, stop sending them messages to sign up for it. Don't send them another postcard that says, hey, we hope you'll join us at the newcomer lunch. And they're like, we went to the one last month, like, oh, okay. So yeah, that goes to like, well, what's the next step after that? If they attended the newcomer lunch, then maybe we're trying to get them connected into a group from there, or then maybe we're trying to get them interested in the membership process or whatever it might be. But have a system. After this happens. At what point do we give up and go, okay, this person showed up for the first time 8 weeks ago. We've contacted them 6 times over the last, 6 weeks. We've got no response. Do we abandon this? Do we kind of treat it like a cold thing? We've never noticed them show back up. This is where something like TapConnect can be extremely helpful, because maybe we know from TapConnect that they were there on, January, whatever. And then did they ever tap again? Maybe they did. Maybe they've tapped 3 times in the last 2 months, but they haven't responded to text messages. They haven't responded to emails. So they're not gone, but they haven't engaged or taken a next step. So we need to treat them differently. So the more data that you have and the more that you're actually tracking these things and paying attention, the better off you are. So take that time to be intentional in staff meetings, or if you're a single staff person, take time each week to review the data on your own. And I would encourage you, if you are a single staff person, build an assimilation team that's a volunteer team and meet with them once a month. You review the data weekly, but then meet once a month with that volunteer team and say, hey, here's where we're at with the people who have been here over the last month, and kind of get progress updates. So create a system. Don't just have a person.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe Telegram. Send somebody to the house with wire rim glasses. Telegram from Miss Bill Johnson.
Oh, I thought you meant the app Telegram.
What are we've got a telegram. That's from that church. How nice of them to send us a telegram.
Here I was seriously, I thought you were talking about the app. I was like, telegram. I don't think we really use that much in the U.S.
That would be, maybe it's as archaic as the actual telegram. Maybe telegraph.
Isn't Telegram an app and they mostly use it in other countries?
Yeah, I've had the Telegram app before. Don't have it now.
I've never had it.
Don't use it. Don't use that for your church. All right. Well, there you go. I hope that you'll take another look at your guest connection and follow-up process, policy, procedures, everything that you can to make sure that it's clear, it's easy, and, pay attention to it. When we make a change, does it get better? Does it not change at all? Does it get worse? You got to pay attention to this stuff. And as with everything, be intentional in the church so that we can be the church that Christ has called us to be, make disciples, and increase the body in the kingdom of God. Go at it, everybody. We're glad you were here with us. We'll see you again next week.